2022। आप अपनी
Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Renuka, and with me is Anita Anand, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds talks with Maldives President Ibrahim Mohammed Solih in New Delhi. 6 agreements exchanged in several areas, including cybersecurity, disaster management, and infrastructure. Tension escalates between China and US at House Speaker Nancy Pelosi lands in Taiwan. Al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri killed in US drone strike in Afghan capital Kabul. Pakistan Election Commission issues show-cause notice to Imran Khan's PTI, says it received prohibited funds. India keeping close watch over spread of cases of monkeypox disease, says Indian Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia. In Commonwealth Games, India wins its first ever gold in women's 4 lawn bowls event at Birmingham, also bags yellow medal in men's table tennis. Indian weightlifter Vikas Thakur claims silver medal at the Games. And in cricket, third T20 international match between India and West Indies underway at Warner Park in Basseterre. And now the news in detail. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President of Maldives Ibrahim Mohammed Solih held one-on-one restricted and delegation-level talks in New Delhi on Tuesday. In the joint press statement after the talks, Mr. Modi said, the India-Maldives partnership is not only working in the interest of the citizens of both the countries, but also becoming a source of peace, stability and prosperity for the region.
Indian Ocean में ट्रांसनेशनल अपराध, आतंकवाद तथा ड्रग्स तस्करी का खतरा गंभीर है और इसलिए रक्षा और सुरक्षा के क्षेत्र में भारत और मालदीव के बीच करीबी संपर्क और समन्वय पूरे क्षेत्र की शांति और स्थिरता के लिए महत्वपूर्ण है। इन सभी साझा चुनौतियों के खिलाफ हमने अपना सहयोग बढ़ाया है।
Briefing media in New Delhi, High Commissioner of India to Maldives, Munu Mahavar said many flagship projects were inaugurated and reviewed after the leaders' meeting. He said the two leaders reviewed the entire spectrum of bilateral ties and focused on next steps that can be taken to keep enhancing the ties. 6 agreements were exchanged following the delegation-level talks today in areas including cybersecurity, disaster management and infrastructure.
Security and defence remain very key area of cooperation, and we have been working very closely. As Prime Minister himself said, our relationship has not only benefited our two countries, but it has been a force of factor of stability, peace and prosperity in the region itself.
The India-Maldives development cooperation, including Adu roads and reclamation, water and sanitation in 34 islands, and Friday mosque restoration projects was reviewed. Mr. Mahavar said India-Maldives relationship has grown tremendously in the last 3.5 to 4 years. He added that cooperation during pandemic was phenomenal and it is a model for the entire region. The High Commissioner said Mr. Solih is the first head of state or government to meet President Draupadi Murmu. Indian President Draupadi Murmu met her Maldives counterpart Ibrahim Mohammed Solih at the Rashtrapati Bhavan on Tuesday evening. Welcoming Mr. Solih, President Murmu said, Maldives is a major partner and close friend of India in the Indian Ocean region, and the people of the two countries have enjoyed strong cultural, economic and trade ties for centuries. Ms. Murmu said, Maldives has a special place in India's neighbourhood first policy. She was happy to note that India's need-based financial and development assistance is supporting Maldives government's development priorities.
India had placed 726 Chinese nationals in the adverse list for violating visa conditions and other illegal acts. This information was given by Indian Minister of State for Home Affairs Nityanand Rai in a written reply in the lower house of its parliament on Tuesday. The minister said 81 Chinese nationals were given Leave India notice and 117 were deported during 2019 to 21. U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi has landed in Taiwan on Tuesday, defying stern warnings from Beijing against a visit that China's Communist Party regards as a challenge to its sovereignty. Ms. Pelosi is highest-ranking elected U.S. official in more than 25 years to visit the island, which Beijing claims as part of its territory. She is set to meet with Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen and legislators in the self-ruled democracy on Wednesday. Chinese officials, including leader Xi Jinping, in a phone call last week with President Biden, have warned of unspecified countermeasures should Ms. Pelosi's Taiwan visit proceed. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hua Chunying at regular press briefing in Beijing said that the U.S. side will certainly shoulder the responsibility and pay the price for undermining China's sovereignty and security interests. The military deployment from the Chinese side, the US and Taiwan have continued to build up in the region, increasing the tensions and possibility of a miscalculation. 4 US warships, including an aircraft carrier, were positioned in waters east of the island. On the other hand, Chinese planes flew close to the median line, dividing Taiwan Strait on Tuesday morning. Several Chinese warships had remained closed to the unofficial dividing line since Monday, while Taiwanese aircraft were on standby nearby. Neither side's aircraft normally cross the median line. The Japanese Defense Forces said Chinese warships also carried out drills to simulate attacks on carrier-borne aircraft in waters east of Taiwan.
Al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri was killed in a U.S. drone strike in Afghanistan over the weekend. The killing of Zawahiri is considered the biggest blow to the militant group since its founder Osama bin Laden was killed in 2011. Zawahiri, an Egyptian who had a $25 million bounty on his head, helped coordinate the 9/11 attacks that killed nearly 3,000 people in the U.S. in 2001. One of the U.S. officials said the CIA carried out a drone strike in Afghan capital Kabul on Sunday. The drone attack is the first known U.S. strike inside Afghanistan since U.S. troops and diplomats left the country in August 2021. In a statement, Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid confirmed that a strike took place and strongly condemned it, calling it a violation of international principles. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you an AIR news exclusive, The Global Fight Against Terrorism. In conversation are former Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar and journalist Nilova Roy Chaudhary.
A targeted United States drone attack over the weekend in the Afghan capital Kabul killed Ayman al-Zawahiri, one of the world's most wanted terrorists, on whose head there was a $25 million bounty also placed. Announcing the killing late on Monday from the White House, US President Joe Biden said, "Now justice has been delivered and this terrorist leader is no more." Al-Zawahiri's killing concluded a 21-year-old global manhunt and marks the end of an era for the lethal terrorist organization. Zawahiri, an Egyptian trained surgeon, founded the Al-Qaeda bin Laden in 1988 and took over the organization after bin Laden's death in 2011. He is reputed to be the mastermind who helped coordinate the September 11, 2001 attacks that killed nearly 3,000 people. He is also meant to be among those responsible for the assassination of former Egyptian President Anwar al-Sadat nearly 4 decades ago. Al-Zawahiri had resurfaced recently earlier this summer and indicated various efforts at recruiting cadres in India. His presence in Afghanistan, however, also shows that the new Taliban regime has continued to maintain its links with Al-Qaeda and that the terrorist infrastructure in that country remains intact. We are joined this evening by Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar, who will explain to us the implications of this killing for India and for the region. While the killing is going to come of Al-Zawahiri is going to come as a relief to the civilized world, his presence in Afghanistan clearly indicates that the Taliban regime there has not delivered on its commitment to keep the country away from the global terrorist network. So what does killing particularly mean for India and for the region?
Yeah, thank you very much, Nilova, and thank you very much for this excellent introduction that you have given as far as the killing of Ayman al-Zawahiri is concerned. Because as you have said very rightly, rightly, he took up the reins of Al-Qaeda in 2011, a few months after Osama bin Laden was killed by the US SEALs. And he has been, of course, at the forefront of various terrorist attacks that have been taking place. Over the last 10 years, of course, he has been helping out the Taliban in its fight against the US forces in Afghanistan, against the ISAF forces in Afghanistan. And I think considerable credit for the fact that Taliban was able to come back into power in Kabul really goes to Ayman al-Zawahiri and Al-Qaeda. Of course, the Taliban rulers, and particularly whether it is Sirajuddin Haqqani or all the others who have been involved with this, they have been claiming that there is no threat, there is no danger to the civilized world from terrorist groups in Afghanistan. In fact, just in an interview that was given by Sirajuddin Haqqani to the CNN a few hours before this killing took place, he had mentioned that Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan is dead. He said Al-Qaeda does not exist in Afghanistan. So I think we really need to see, number one, that all the claims and the commitments that the Taliban dispensation has been making over the last 1 year, that it is quite clear that they have not stuck to their word, which was given in Doha when the Doha Accords were signed, and also all their protestations of being against any terrorist group, that they are not going to support any terrorist group, that all those claims have fallen flat. Nilova.
Absolutely. Ashok, while they've been protesting even his killing and saying that the United States has reneged on its agreement signed at Doha with the Taliban, the fact actually remains, as you rightly pointed out, that the Taliban have completely reneged on all of their agreements with the others. And al-Zawahiri's presence in the heart of Kabul clearly indicates that. But can we, how would this man's removal help India particularly in its war against terrorism? I mean, we have been trying our hardest to keep our region, our country and our region free of terrorist influences. Will this go a long way to that extent?
I think it will have a very significant salutary impact on the spread and rise of terrorism in the region. Of course, when there is a big body like the Al-Qaeda and the leadership goes, that really deals a body blow to that organization. And I think it will take it quite a long time for it to recover. Now, as far as Al-Qaeda is concerned, that is also, as you mentioned in your introductory comments also, they have, it's not only, of course, Al-Qaeda, it's also the Islamic State that has been making all these, saying that what are the actions that they are going to take against India in terms of, because of the policies that are being pursued, as they claim, by the Indian establishment, by the Indian government. So Al-Qaeda has also been making these claims that what are their plans as far as India is concerned. So I think that is going to get a big blow with the killing of Ayman al-Zawahiri. The second is that it will put also the Taliban administration, it will put them on the back foot. It will sort of, put them in a corner, because it has now become very clear that whatever they have been claiming, whatever they have been, the protestations that they have been making, that that has all been a smokescreen. That has all been, devoid of any accuracy or factual content. And their statements are going to be going forward. They are going to be treated with great suspicion and will not have any credibility. Lastly, I think the United States has also demonstrated by its action that although it might have left last year at the end of August, but they still continue to be engaged as far as this region is concerned. You would recall that the United States has been in very active deliberations and conversation with several of the Central Asian countries, particularly Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, whose foreign ministers have been in the United States in recent months, basically trying to see if they can have some over-the-horizon capabilities that can be established in those regions, in those countries. And also, as far as Tajikistan is concerned, because Tajikistan is the only country which has refused to engage in any manner whatsoever with the Taliban administration. So the president of Tajikistan was in Europe, was in New York. So I think they are also trying to see that the terrorism from Afghanistan does not go out to other countries.
Given these circumstances, Ashok, they have been taken, the man has been taken out in a very clean kind of way, one must admit, given what visuals, what one has been seeing. There hasn't been any great collateral damage and so on. So is this likely to also put, say, the Pakistani ISI establishment on the back foot? Because they have, of course, as we all know, been very close with the Taliban. And it is unlikely that the presence of somebody like an al-Zawahiri in Kabul would have been unknown to them.
Oh, you are very right, Nilova. I don't think that Pakistan and the ISI was oblivious of this fact, not at all. You would recall that when these changes were taking place, then last year on 15th of August, the Taliban moved into Kabul. But at the beginning of September, on the 4th or 5th September, we had the ISI, DG ISI chief, Faiz Hamid. He had come to Kabul, and you would recall very well the sort of arrogance and hubris and insolence with which he conducted himself, saying that, he had come for a trade mission or something of that sort. So obviously, the ISI has been involved very closely with the Taliban before, when they were fighting against the US forces, against the NATO forces. And ISI was also behind the attack on the Panjshir complex in early September last year. So, but we have seen that the ISI and Taliban relationship in recent months has gone rather sour. Even in fact, the relations between Taliban and Islamabad, as well as Rawalpindi, they have not been particularly good, both because of the issue as far as the Durand Line is concerned, and also as far as the activities of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan are concerned. What the Taliban has said, Afghan Taliban has said, is that they will try to control the activities, but they have done nothing of that sort. They have tried to put the Pakistan establishment and TTP to come in contact. There have been very small-scale temporary ceasefires, but that has really not helped. And there have been also attacks by Pakistan on the Afghan side. So I think the relations have not been too good still. I would tend to agree with you that Pakistan would have known about the existence and about the presence of Ayman al-Zawahiri in Kabul. So I don't know how they are going to take it, because any embarrassment at this stage that comes for the Taliban administration, maybe they will not mind it so much. But Pakistan has also been using the Al-Qaeda for its own purposes. So in that sense, it would be taken by them as as a hit, as a jolt for them also, for the ISI also.
Thank you so very much, Ambassador Sajjan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back to World News. In Pakistan, the Election Commission, in a unanimous verdict on Tuesday, ruled that the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf PTI did indeed receive prohibitive funding. The electoral watchdog also issued a show-cause notice to the party. The ECP ruled that the party received funds from a business tycoon as well as from 34 foreign nationals. It said that the party had taken ownership of 8 accounts and kept 13 hidden. India is keeping a close watch over the spread of cases of monkeypox disease. Replying to supplementaries during the question hour in the upper house of Indian Parliament today, Union Health and Family Welfare Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia said a total of 8 cases have been detected so far in the country.
देश में कुल मिला के 8 केस डिटेक्ट हुए हैं। 8 केस में से 5 केस ऐसे हैं जिसकी हिस्ट्री फॉरेन ट्रैवल की है। कोविड क्राइसिस ने सिखाया उसका बेस्ट इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हम मंकी पॉक्स में कर रहे हैं। और मंकी पॉक्स एक ऐसा डिसीज है, वो ज्यादा रिस्क नहीं है, हम थोड़ा सा भी सतर्क रहे तो उसको कंट्रोल किया जा सकता है।
Dr. Mandavia expressed confidence that the Indian scientists will be able to develop a vaccine for monkeypox disease. And now a report from the business world.
The Sensex rose 21 points to finish at 58,136. The Nifty also added 5 points to end at 17,345. At the global stock markets, global stocks slipped and bond yields fell amid fears of a global recession on concerns that a visit by U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan would further harm relations between China and the United States. Brent crude prices were steady to trade around the $100 per barrel mark in intraday trade. And in the forex market, the rupee closed at 78 rupees and 72 paise against the American currency. Gaurang Dhawanlal for World News, All India Radio.
It is a golden day for India at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. In a major first for India, the women's 4 lawns bowls team of Nyanmoni Saikia, Pinky Lovely Chaube and Ruparani Tirke scripted history as they won a gold medal by defeating South Africa 17-10 in the finals on Tuesday. This is India's first medal in the sport. After that historic win, the men's table tennis team defeated Singapore 3-1 in the gold medal match to give the country its 5th gold medal of the Games. Then weightlifter Vikas Thakur won the silver medal in the men's 96 kg category. Thakur lifted a total weight of 346 kg. He completed a best snatch attempt of 155 kg and a clean and jerk attempt of 191 kg. President Draupadi Murmu, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have congratulated the winners. India have so far won 12 medals with 5 gold, 4 silver and 3 bronze. In cricket, West Indies were 129 for 3 in 16.3 overs against India in the third T20 international match at the Warner Park in Basseterre, St. Kitts, when reports last came in. Earlier, India won the toss and elected to bowl first. The 5-match series is levelled at 1-1.
And now let's listen to our special segment Potpourri, in which we bring for our listeners an inspiring story on the father-daughter bond.
Between a father and a daughter is tender and fierce, full of wonder and unique to all others. This was reflected once again recently as India witnessed an unprecedented sight when a father-daughter duo torn into the skies in advanced fighter jet trainers to carve a place for themselves in the country's military aviation history. Father-son fighter pilots in the Indian Air Force have generated sonic booms before, but there's not been any previous instance in the IAF where a father and his daughter were part of the same fighter formation for a mission. Air Commodore Sanjay Sharma, a veteran fighter pilot currently posted at the IAF headquarters, and his daughter Flying Officer Ananya Sharma, who is undergoing transitional fighter training after being commissioned last December, recently flew in the same formation of Hawk 132 planes at the Bidar Air Base in Karnataka. Air Commodore Sharma termed it as the biggest, proudest day in his life. Growing up at fighter bases, Ananya would often hear the sounds of jets flying over them. Knowing that her father was flying one of the jets used to be really inspiring for her. Flying
Tiranga Utsav was held at IG Stadium in New Delhi on Tuesday to mark 146th birth anniversary of Pingali Venkaiah, who designed the Indian tricolour. Speaking on the occasion, Indian Home Minister Amit Shah appealed to everyone to participate in the Har Ghar Tiranga program, which is being organised from 13th to 15th of August under the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Hoist the tricolour at their homes, take selfies with it and post it on their social media accounts. And now let's take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Globe and Mail report Canada abandoned Ukrainian embassy employees despite their likelihood of being on the Russian list. The Financial Times writes, Ukraine warns grain exports will take months to reach pre-war levels. The Wall Street Journal reports British Airways halts ticket sales on domestic European routes from Heathrow.
The Washington Post says killing of Zawahiri draws praise from bipartisan lawmakers Saudi Arabia. The Guardian writes Liz Truss U-turns on plan to cut public sector pay outside London. The Sydney Morning Herald opines massive wave of Iraqi protesters storm into Green Zone, occupy the parliament. South China Morning Post says Chinese army scrambles fighter jets across Taiwan Strait. Japan Times reports expert urge Japan to downgrade COVID to similar class as seasonal flu. And Reuters writes Russia backs China over provocative Pelosi visit to Taiwan. And now a quick look at the headlines once again. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds talks with Maldives President Ibrahim Mohamed Solih in New Delhi. 6 agreements exchanged in several areas including cybersecurity, disaster management and infrastructure. Tension escalates between China and US as House Speaker Nancy Pelosi lands in Taiwan. Al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri killed in US drone strike in Afghan capital Kabul. Pakistan Election Commission issues show cause notice to Imran Khan's PTI, says it received prohibited funds. India keeping close watch over spread of cases of monkeypox disease, says Indian Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia. In Commonwealth Games, India wins its first ever gold in women's 4 lawn bowls event at Birmingham, also bags yellow medal in men's table tennis. Indian weightlifter Vikas Thakur claims silver medal at the Commonwealth Games. And in cricket, third T20 international match between India and West Indies underway at Warner Park in Basseterre. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favourite bhajan, Vaishnava Jan, by artists from Switzerland. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.